cowboy, the sukiyaki jockey, the M.O. Tim Kimura, and the man behind the wheel at Keeping It Real, Jewett. Tell us where you're tuning in from tonight. We got a great show tonight, everybody. We got Miss Leslie Lange in the house. Welcome to the Keeping It Real show. Make sure you let us know where you're tuning in from.
Sukiyaki Jockey, the Kamikaze Cowboy, the MOT, the Man of Trail, Tim Kimura, and home of the San Antonio Spurs, the wheel for Keeping It Real, Brad Jewett.
Hey, Karen.
Hey, when'd you go? Am I in?
You are in.
Oh, okay. I just don't hear myself very well. Very good. Okay. Hi, Petey. Hi, Pete. Hi, Patty. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Ann. Hi, Carly. We love it. Bears team is supporting her tonight. So.
Great night tonight.
All the friends are in the house on a Friday night. Talk right into that microphone, Trail Man.
Trail Man, let's go.
The MOT, the Manor Trail, and Brad Jewett.
Starting lineup
for the Keeping It Real show. From Oak Point, Texas, the Kamikaze Cowboy, the Sukiyaki Jockey, the MOT.
The MOT Man of Trail, 8 seconds.
6, 5, 4.
I'm Brad Jewett.
I'm Tim, the Trail Man.
Keeping it real.
And now, Brad and Tim.
We got a great night, Timmy. Let's do it.
Yo. Welcome to San Antonio.
San Antonio Spurs. Right by my side every night. Hey, Timmy.
Yes, sir.
You think you can move your microphone to the side a little bit so we can see that beautiful
like that.
Asian
Like that?
grill?
Arr.
Yeah.
That growl.
The growl.
Wow.
We did a photo shoot today, ladies and gentlemen, for the Keeping It Real show and for Tim's deal and for some of my personal stuff. And Tim showed like a couple of them. Like I said, you kind of got to get mad. He's like,
Yes.
it was awesome.
Gosh.
We had a lot of laughs.
We are going to rock it tonight. Friday night.
We have an awesome night tonight.
Friday night. Here we go. Wow. Look who's all in the house tonight. Wow.
Big group, big group.
What you think?
I think my microphone was off and I said earlier, Colorado is bear country.
Bear country.
Love it.
Got a deal. Let's go.
All right, Kona.
Let her in.
Wait, you know what? Hold on. Before we bring Miss Bear in, we gotta thank the folks that we had this week. The three amigos, Andy Cochran, Aaron Moses, and Katie Joe on Wednesday. And then Monday, Mr. Steve Meadows. We've had a great week, but we're about to finish it
strong
with a super great one. How about that? I mean, I don't know. I can't wait for tonight because we usually try to cut people's stories kind of short when we're talking to them so they'll save it for the show. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of stories tonight that I can't wait to hear the end of. All right, let's rock and roll.
Let's bring it.
Leslie Lange, welcome to the Keeping It Real show.
Knock, knock, knock. Come on in.
Hey guys, how are you?
We are good. How are you?
Wow. We'll just
I'm
center
good.
you in the middle there.
Well,
How about that?
You stay right in the middle.
Yeah, right there.
Go.
Yeah.
How's
Right
that?
there. Beautiful. Beautiful. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm excited. I've watched so many of your shows, and I'm honored to be able to participate. So it's gonna be fun.
We talked about you being in contact with a lot of our guests in the past, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'll probably be referencing some of them with some of the questions that you asked, so it's pretty fun.
We were talking a little bit before the show, and we're not going to name them all, but it's amazing if you looked back through the first 20. Is this our 23rd show, Kona? 24th show. So our first 23 shows, and I hear just a little echo somewhere again. I don't know where the little echo is.
It's me.
It's a delay, but I hear a little echo. But how many reach Leslie? It's crazy. Or Leslie reaches them, but somehow in some of the stories that she's telling us, a lot of the names came up that we're in. So that's why part of the reason I'm excited for everybody to hear her stories tonight. So let's rock and roll, Tim.
Okay.
We got a lot of stuff to ask.
So, Bear, if you can take us back, turn back time, okay. Can you tell us about your childhood a little bit? Born and how you got your name Bear?
Well, sure. Do we have to go back quite that far? Because that would give it away that I'm like really old. I was born and raised in Woody Creek, Colorado, on a working cattle ranch, which for those of you who don't know, that's right outside of Aspen. So I grew up on a ranch and kind of as a bit of a ski bum. And my dad was a horse trainer and a rodeo cowboy. And so we rode those kinds of horses and did a little bit of everything.
Is that a legal bridge?
I think it was a rocking bridge, so no, it's probably not a legal bridge.
It's illegal now.
It is an illegal bridge now. So grew up doing pony club on my dad's rope horse, pushing cows, roping, branding, all that kind of stuff. The youngest of 7 children. All are a bunch older than I am. So I kind of tagged along with whatever horse activity they were doing. And but I always really kind of wanted to stick with the horse show horses. The ranching stuff was fun, but then there was a cohort, another youth kid that got a fancy show horse, and it could go slow and it could keep its neck down and all these fun things that were really cool. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to be that precise, and I want to do that kind of stuff. So back in the day, the National Western Stock Show would have a premier horse sale. And my folks bought me my first, what I would call real show horse on the National Western Stock Show sale. And his name was Going Joe. And we bought him from a family in Kansas, the Keener family. And they had youngsters about my age. And that's Going Joe, the pictures that you see there, showing as a kid.
Going Joe.
Going Joe.
he'd been the all-around youth horse at the American Royal twice with the girl that had showed him, and then they kids showed horses and then they sold them, and that's how they kind of made some money. So we bought this horse, and we have this fancy show horse, and we take it home to this ranch, and we don't have a show barn. All our ranch horses live out in the pasture. And so he's just slick as a mole. So we fix up a stall like in the cow barn, and that's where Going Joe lived, was in a stall in the cow barn.
Wow.
And it was, yeah, he thought he died and went to hell, I'm sure, but he adapted.
Perfect. So besides Going Joe, you want to tell me about your other horse? And I'm going to throw all your younger horses up here. Young Bear.
Sure. So Going Joe was kind of my first real horse show horse, and then had a bout of colic. Long story short, ended up passing away. We had to put him down, and then we went on a horse search, which took us through Texas. Looked at a horse at Orrin Barnes in Amarillo. Then we ventured down to the Houston area, and I looked at a horse named Mr. Wynn, which is, obviously not the picture of me on the baby, but the sorrel horse. That's all Mr. Wynn. He was my next youth horse, and he was off of the racetrack, older when I got him, I think 8 or 9. Ended up buying him, bringing him home. He was a pleasure and a challenge all at the same time. He was one of the tougher horses I've ever ridden, but gave me one of the most satisfactory. And he was a horse, myself and Laura Gilmer, the first year they had what they called I think it was a Supreme Champion Award. Laura Gilmer won it with Son of a Rebel, and I won it with Mr. Wynn. So that was kind of a fun fact back in the day.
Love that.
Yeah,
Laura's,
how about that picture I threw up there? Maybe one more time.
Is that Laura Gilmer, Go Horse Show, Laura Gilmer?
It is. It is.
Awesome.
Yep.
So tell me again, Mr. Wynn is the one on the lower left. Is that right?
Mr. Wynn is the lower left. He's the barrel racing picture, and he's the picture on the upper right with me in my really sexy white showmanship pants.
Yeah. That's
What year is that youth world over there, Leslie?
1979, like before most of your viewers were born.
Nice. So after you learn to ride and everything, how do you start out, like school-wise? Can you tell me about your college and your high school and stuff?
Yeah, well, so I born and raised on a ranch, as you know, and then my parents got divorced, and my mom and I moved from the Western Slope to Colorado, or to Evergreen, over by Denver. And I was supposed to go to private school, and I whined and cajoled and talked to my mom into letting me go to public school so I could ride horses. Graduated from Evergreen High School, and then applied to colleges all over. You probably would have no idea, but I was a fairly good student.
No way. Get
no
out.
way. So I applied to all these colleges. I applied to Colorado State, Montana State, Harvard, Stanford, Lewis and Clark, a little college in Bradford College in Missouri where my mom went. And I thought, well, obviously I'll get into Colorado State because they have to take everybody, and I live here, and the rest of them I won't get in. So this won't be a hard choice at all. This will be super easy. Well, I got into all of them, which was a waste of time and energy because I went to Colorado State so I could continue to ride horses. So Colorado State University, I played one semester a little too hard. So it took me 4.5 years to get out of school instead of 4, but I graduated with a degree in ag business and a minor in economics.
Hey, you said the magic word, degree.
Right. Yep. Perfect.
Yep.
So after
college?
Yeah.
Well, during college.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah,
You're right.
During college.
Thank you.
I was riding horses, and during college, I met the guy who was going to be my husband, Tom Lange, and we opened up a horse training business together. And so after college, we just continued.
Right.
It was the natural progression, and we started taking more clients because I had more time, and we had youth and amateur students. And so kind of started going down the road, 6-horse trailer and 6-horse and a 2-horse, because I still had my little 2-horse from being a kid, and off down the horse show trail we went, collecting horses and clients along the way.
Can you share with us a little bit about when you were teaching that one student of yours at the Youth World, I think?
Oh, yes. So this is a fun story. So I've got a youth student who's got a pretty nice trail horse. So we're at the Youth World, and this, I'm guessing, has got to be 84, 85, 86 maybe. So I leave my student in the warm-up pen, and there'd been some other people in the warm-up pen practicing trail. They had brought some logs, and I leave her in the warm-up pen. And then I come back to the warm-up pen, and she's kind of a little put out. And Charlie Cole and Amy, at the time, Scanlon, who's now Amy Lund, were on the California youth team, and they were their trail poles, and they were picking up the trail poles because we hadn't asked to borrow them, and they were hoarding their trail poles, and so that's how I met Charlie Cole. Charlie says, he says, I know what's coming. So I'm mortified. And so I'm apologizing and introducing myself, and Charlie was not really, kind of nice, but not really. And so that's kind of how I met Charlie, and then we got to be friends. So
how about that? Charlie was kind of nice, but not really.
Really?
Well, I don't blame him.
He does. He doesn't blame himself either. He blames Amy, it says.
So tell me, so after you met Charlie Cole and everything, and tell us kind of in the next few years of your business and when you started going to other shows and stuff.
Yeah, so I started going to horse shows, went to the Sun Circuit. We showed pretty locally, but I did go to the World Show quite a few times, and then kind of, thought of myself big fish, little pond kind of scenario. So in like 1990, 1991, I decided I was going to get my judge's card, AQHA judge's card. Let's not go for our paint card or go, NSBA wasn't really up, and let's just go straight for our quarter horse card. So I gave out some reference letters to some people, because you had to have like 5 references at that point in time. And I got home from the horse show where I'd handed out lots of these, and then I was like, what are you doing? You can't be an AQHA judge. You don't know anything about it. Like,
I have my doubts as well. I understand.
Yeah. You're like, you got overwhelmed, like in the heat of the moment, things went crazy, so I call several of the people and I say, about that reference letter, and they're thinking I'm asking to make sure they've already sent it in. And they're like, oh yeah, it's already done. I've sent it in. I'm like, oh, dang it. Now I'm committed. So
you're official.
Yep. So
Right.
1991, I would have gone to Stillwater, and we tested there. And this was back then. We tested in April, and then you didn't even find out if you passed and got your judge's card till Congress time, October.
Wow.
And then you started judging in January of the next year. So my first official year, I was lucky enough to pass my first try.
Wow.
It was horrible. I was just sure I had done terrible, but I squeaked through somehow. So
when you almost backed out.
I tried to back out. Yeah.
You tried to back out, and as they would have it, got one of the best judges in our industry.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So,
I enjoy it, but at the time,
You've taught a lot of our judges' schools that we have. As you all know, we have to go and go to school every other year. And Leslie was, when I first got my card, she was one of the first ones that would be in front, kind of telling us her opinion. Of course, we all have an opinion, and so I was one of those as a young one. I was like, oh, please don't ask me to judge this trail go. Because they're like, we're like volunteer judges, and you got a room full of AQHA judges. I'm like, I'm just sinking down in my seat.
Everybody does. You get really small in your seat.
So maybe we take
what?
Go ahead, Bear. Go ahead, Bear.
I was going to take you to Arizona. Let's go to Arizona. Let's go
to
1995.
Arizona. Okay. So Arizona, I've been going to Arizona to the Sun Country Circuit, which was in January. Went every year, and then with 1, 2, 3, 5 horses. Now we're in business. We're in training. I've got this horse that I think is pretty special. I've kind of dabbled with the trail all along, but in Colorado, trail was, as you saw, a rocking bridge, a mailbox, a slicker, kind of the basics of trail. And we go to the Sun Circuit, and I see these courses that have lope overs and trot overs and wheels and all these fancy things that I don't really know much about. But this horse I've got is pretty talented at this. And so the first day I go in and I am able to navigate what they called California Trail style course until the very last maneuver.
Trail.
Yep, fancy trail. Oh. And the last obstacle is a water box. And this horse won't go.
Water.
Yeah, water box with water. Like not tamed down, but the serious type. This horse won't go anywhere near the water box, like snorting all over. Mm-hmm. So I give it my 3 attempts, and then I excuse myself, and I'm leaving the arena, and I'm kind of dejected, kind of excited that I got through a lot of the stuff, but dejected, thinking, oh my God, I've got several more trips, because we used to show like 5 times there instead of the 3 we do now, and not sure how I'm going to get this done. And so then I'm leaving the trail area, and there's this Asian guy that's following me, and he's going, hey, stop. Hey. Hey, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done now? I'm like, who's the Asian guy that's following me? Well, it was Tim Kimura.
Why is Don Ho chasing me around? Why is Don Ho? Why is Mr. Miyagi following me around?
So he stops. So I stop, and he's like, hey, you've got a really nice horse, and we got to get him broke, and like, I'm going to help you practice, and we're going to get him through the water box. And I'm just I'm mortified and flattered and didn't quite know what to do. And so that's how Tim Kimura and I met, and that was at the Sun Circuit in 1994. And by the end of the week, the gelding that I was, some of you have probably heard of, his name was I'm a Fine Dandy. I got to win the senior trail at the Sun Circuit because this weird little Asian guy was helping me get through the water box. So,
and you post a picture down there below has the water with the water box
at the Congress in the water box going through.
Yeah,
ears up.
Ears up. No, nothing to it. Just had to know how to get it done. So, in kind of more history, because when you've been in as long as I have, there seems to be history. 1995 was the year I won my first world title, and you can see the pictures there with I'm a Fine Dandy, which also happened to be the first year that Tim Kimura did the courses for the AQHA World Show, and also happened to be the first year that Charlie Cole won the world.
Charlie Cole again?
Yeah, Charlie Cole again. And of course, he's gone on to be a tremendous horseman and extremely successful and quite a good friend. But it was kind of fun for the two of us to get our picture made. And he said in his interview earlier, he goes that Mare Cluzo's Candy Kisses was crazy and she never put her head down, and he was scared she was going to stay on, but he was world champion. So there you go.
And so you guys finally made up after Mr. Mean Charlie from the youth world. You guys decided to take a picture together.
It's kind of funny that you had that pattern. Did you save that pattern?
Yep, I saved. I have the prelims and the world show pattern. Well, come on, it's your first world title. I think I saved my socks and like.
There you go.
I'm a little superstitious that way. So yeah, when I was going through pictures, I came across the pattern in my scrapbook. So yeah,
it was fun because it was one I didn't have in my collection, but now I do. So I'm excited. Charlie asked, I sent it to Charlie today too, and I showed him, hey, check this out. Like, this is the 95 course that we all did that. Yeah. So super special for all three of us.
Who would have ever thought Mr. Miyagi knew how to get your horse through a water box?
Yeah. He waved the wall.
That's right. So it's pretty cool. So pretty special.
So and then Danny went on to win Western Riding though too, right? You helped me there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Dandy was a good trail horse, but was a better Western rider, in my opinion. And the viewers probably can't see it, but that trail course had a flying lead change in it. So a bunch of my friends were always like, gosh, you had to go to the trail to recognize that he was a Western rider. So he had a lead change in the trail. So, but I was lucky enough to go on and win the senior Western riding in 1998 prior to the reign of the High Point Performance horses. And I think I was reserve maybe in the senior Western riding in 99. And that horse won, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 honor rolls as well in the trail and Western riding.
Sorry.
Tim's fidgety over here. He's so excited.
I know,
he's knocking things off his desk. And he's like, he can't sit still. I'm like, Tim, what are you doing?
They're gonna send me home. They're gonna send me home.
I gotta get a bigger seatbelt.
I know. I don't have my seatbelt. That's the problem too. Didn't Colorado give Dandy award this year? This year?
Yep. They inducted him into our affiliates Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
so
this is super special. So let's move a little bit. You want to talk about your judging, like at the European Championships, the Open World Show, your first time?
Sure. So judging. So I got my AQHA judges card in 1992. And then in maybe 93 or 94, I'm gonna veer just a touch. Carla Wenberg called me and asked me to help her with some continuing education for the Hunter Saddle, and so help conduct the judges workshops. So I was honored. We got together, we got our presentation going, felt really good about it. So back in the day, we used to do 4 judges workshops a year, and they were scattered about regionally. And so the first one that we did of a 2-year series was in Scottsdale, Arizona. So Carla and I fly in and the AQHA staff, and we're getting all ready to do our little presentation. And into the room, judges, attendees, into the room walks Lynn Palm, Al Dunning, all of these people who, Bob Avila, I believe, was there. All these people who are judges that I've looked up to and that are icons in the industry. And I'm thinking, what is some little cowpoke girl from Colorado going to give these folks of any sort of anything that they can use? And so it actually went great. But for me, it was an eye-opening experience to try to teach and pick each other's brains and try to find a standard of excellence that we can all adhere to and move forward. So it was a great experience, and I've hoped over the years, as Brad said, he'd attended some of the things that I've helped conduct, and I've hoped over the years that I've tried to instill that in my teaching style, is to identify standard of excellence, which changes as we progress through our horsemanship. It changes. Our standard of excellence now is different than it was back when I'm a Fine Dandy was a world champion in 95. But if we can keep identifying that and moving forward and getting everybody to move forward kind of together, and I think that's the best way to teach. And it's really not about teaching, it's about taking us all along together to adhere to our standard of excellence. So we do the judges workshops, and I'm getting pretty confident about it. And we do a Hunter Under Saddle video for AQHA in 1996, I believe, and that went really good. And then 1997, I get hired to judge both the European Championship and the World Show. So I'm thinking, like, you're pretty, like you're it, like you're a bit in a bag of chips, calm. But so we go to the European Championships, and kind of a funny aside, not a funny aside, kind of a weird aside. I'm judging the European Championships in Kreuz, Germany, and that was the year that Princess Diana was killed in France, I believe. So that kind of put a damper on the European Championships, but we still had fun. So get back from there, I think go to the Congress and Show, go to the World Show to judge. I'm so excited and nervous. Judging the World Show back that point in time, you either did the open week or the amateur week. And somehow they picked little old me to do the open week. So I'm flattered. Fly to Oklahoma City, all excited. First class I judge, Junior Western Pleasure. And I'm like, oh God, this is going to be so fun. This is back when the Pleasure was big. 4 cuts, 2 semis, and a finals just in the prelim. So the first cut of the Pleasure comes rolling in, and there's 19, 20 horses in the pen. They all jog down the center, assume their position on the rail. And Mr. Gil Switzer was my ring steward, and he's passed away a couple of years ago. He's a wonderful gentleman, Melinda DeFries's father, and Kyle DeFries's grandfather. Wonderful gentleman. He's my ring steward. So I watch them jog, and then they lope, and then they reverse. And I'm like, God, there's some nice horses in here. And I'm just thinking, I'm the cat's meow. And Mr. Switzer leans over my shoulder. Mind you, there's 19 horses in the pen, and you have to place 15. I have not one thing written down on my pad. Nothing. Nada. And he says, remember, you have to place 15.
That's the worst possible thing that you can be told at that point in time.
I went from thinking I was on top of the world to full on armpit sweating. It was horrible. So now I got to get 15 horses. I got to get them written down. I got to appear cool. So then the next cut comes in, and now I'm panicking to try to get a bookkeeping system devised so that I can sort them. Because whether you're 12th or 7th makes the difference of making the cut. So we go through our full cuts, and now I'm pretty confident that I've got my system down. You know, I haven't sweat through my jacket completely. It's just running down my back, so I'm okay. So the semifinals comes in, and now I'm writing all their numbers and names, because you know everybody, down on the right side of my pad. And then as I'm like, my theory is, as I slot them into the 15, I'll cross them off. So I count for everybody. I got this going on. So I'm watching them come in the first semifinal. I'm writing them down, and now my friend Troy Compton trots in, and I now break out in another full-on sweat because I am just sure I've never seen Troy Compton in any one of the first 4 splits. So now I'm thinking, you're so incompetent. You didn't even see one of your really good friends in the first 4 splits, but yet here he is in the semifinals. So about that time, Gil Switzer leans over my shoulder, and he says there's been a rider change on horse number 732. Well, that was the year that John Barry's horse fell with him out in the warm-up pen, and he broke his arm, his collarbone, and they got Troy to jump on. And so it was all fine, but that is like a judging nightmare. And I was just sure when I got out of there, they were going to put me on an airplane and send me home and tell me that, thank you for your 12 hour and a half of work. We'll be sending you home now. So yeah,
that's a great story. Scary story. If you're a judge, that's a really scary story as well. Because like when she was telling me this, I'm like, it was kind of making me sweat a little bit, because I've been in a similar situation. Like you have to place all horses in the finals. I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Here we
kind
go.
of fun.
Okay. Are you still ready to start sweating, Leslie?
What are we doing now?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Rapid Fire.
Rapid Fire.
Okay, bring it on.
Okay.
Here we go. These are 10 questions that Leslie has no idea that's coming at her. So we'll see how fast she can think.
Question number 1. Which belt buckle do you own that has lasting memories?
My first one. 1995 World Champion Trail.
Nice.
Good job.
Good answer.
Name a sandwich you would order at Subway or Jimmy John's.
Number 7 roast beef with avocado cut in half.
Boom. Perfect. I knew you'd know that.
DoorDash right now, probably, right?
If you had to sing karaoke with a friend, who would it be?
Virginia Owen.
And if you had to pick an Elton John song, what song would you try to sing?
Oh, heavens. I wouldn't even attempt.
Name a male movie star you find attractive.
Ooh.
Now or back when I was young?
Anytime.
John Travolta in Urban Cowboy.
Okay, good job.
Oh, Urban Cowboy. Nice.
Yeah.
I was doing stand.
Urban Cowboy. Name a bull or bucking horse that has a name that fits them.
Rewind.
What fictional character do you believe is most like yourself?
Winnie the Pooh.
Atta girl. There you go. You enjoyed riding a horse that was outside an arena and not at a horse show or a rodeo event.
Name what?
Name where, like name a place where you've ridden a horse that's outside an arena and not at a horse show or a rodeo event, like up in mountains or somewhere.
Oh, yeah. In the mountains in Washington State, around the Columbia River.
There you go. Name a brand of beer you would like to drink when you're just chilling.
Michelob Ultra.
There you go. 2 more. What's your favorite kind of donut that you would choose at a donut shop?
Maple glazed.
Atta girl. Last one. Ready?
Yep.
Which horse show trainer in their prime would you enjoy watching them try to ride one of your rough stock horses without getting hurt?
That means you like this person.
What horse show trainer in their prime would you enjoy watching them try to ride one of your rough stock horses without getting hurt?
Without getting hurt. Nah, Charlie Cole.
Charlie Cole. Okay. Very good, Barry. Good job. Good job.
Awesome job. It's just breathe now, Barry. It's over.
Yeah, exactly.
It's over. All right, everybody. This is the time of the night that we like to just take a quick break. Thank our sponsors. We got a lot more. We want to hear about Leslie's ranch riding career, Western riding a little bit more, about her rodeo company. So everybody stay tuned.
Be right back. Follow me, Bear.
I am.
Okay.
We have a lot of guests that love our music. We always like to come back in and let it roll for a minute before we get back to business. Let Leslie take a breath. Let Tim take a breath. And then we got a lot more to go. So fasten your seatbelts. Top off your glass. There's been a lot of people that have just commented on, and I know Leslie will shake her head, but on the greatness that is Leslie Lange and her, the horsewoman she is. We seem to have lost our feed for the moment. There it goes. There, we're back.
Good.
All right. So Timmy, let's kick this back in gear.
So Bear, tell us a little bit about being the professional horsewoman, of the year.
Well, it was truly a surprise and quite an honor, humbling. I was Horsewoman of the Year in 2003. What's really special about that award is the people who've won it before and the people who've won it after, and the people who vote on it, which is voted on by your peers. So it's extremely special to be recognized by your peers and to be voted into a group of people with the accolades that they have. I looked down through the list, and I'm obviously one of the least qualified, but one of the most humbled and appreciative of the award. So it was, it came in a time when I was very involved with AQHA, doing judges workshops, showing a lot, and just truly trying to be a part of an organization and a group of people that I really, really enjoyed being around and tried to contribute and bring us all, down the road together as a united front for the good of the horse, really.
So from there, can I kind of roll into NSBA and you're working with them in that period of time?
Sure. So, yeah. I became an NSBA judge in 1998 and did some work with them as far as continuing education as well. And then Miss Diane Eppers, myself, Dan Trine, I'm trying to remember some of the people who were on our original committee, maybe Jeff Malott, some of these folks, probably the brainchild of Diane, former director of NSBA and now serving in an advisory capacity, thought we need to do for NSBA, and we came up with the idea to bring trail and Western riding in. So I remember we were at a director's workshop, a director's meeting in Chicago when we were going to present this to the board, who, mind you, the board is made up of majority of pleasure enthusiasts and some lunge line enthusiasts. And so we're going to bring trail and Western riding in there. And Ken Banks was in the room, Jackie Starnes was in the room, Gail Gallion was in the room. And so Ken and I are on board. Jackie was kind of on board, but not really. So long story short, we got trail and Western riding passed. And the first few years at the World Show, I just love to tease Jackie because Jackie always got to be on the trail setup and teardown crew. And I know that was just one of his most favorite things ever. And so I'd still tease him about that. And then, of course, we all know how it's taken off, not only for NSBA, but AQHA. And now we have professionals. And the fun part about that for me was when we first kind of encountered that, we had two camps. We had kind of the pleasure camp or the trail and Western riding camp. And now I think, and you guys can agree or disagree, I think that has really brought the two sides of the horse show Western industry together. Those of us in the trail Western riding, we buy from the pleasure people, and the pleasure people are trying. So I think that's really been an outstanding marriage in the NSBA association.
Yeah, the three pleasure trainers we had on the other night totally attest to that. That's a big part of all of their businesses now. You know,
Without
I think
a doubt.
it's increased their businesses to keep some of those others around to finish them, even if they're not going to be their fraternity horses for the year. So you're absolutely true. And I never even put it to thought that probably had a big part to do with it.
Well, I think it did. And I think what I think it did for our trail and Western riding end of it is we got a better quality of horse.
Yes.
Better mover, better trained. And what it did for the pleasure industry is it provided an outlet for maybe that just below the absolute best horse, which can move on and can still have tremendous value in those other aspects of horse showing.
Absolutely. As some of the great Western riding guests we've had have said, some of their best Western riders have not been the greatest movers. So, I mean, it all just adds up, and you just added another piece to that. So that's perfect. I appreciate you saying that. That was awesome.
No
it's
worries.
interesting how everything connects, right?
Yep.
We connect it from Wednesday night. We connect it from last week. And
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, connecting all the dots all the time. How we're all intertwined in this little umbrella.
Yep.
You know, and talking
Go Bear.
talking about being intertwined, and we kind of didn't touch on it earlier, but we had touched on it in our pre stuff. So your first guess, I think, wasn't it Dean and Christy McCann? So
no, they were our second guest.
Monday.
Our first ones were
Leonard,
professional horsemen and horsemen.
Yep, Terry and Leonard. So anyway,
but go ahead. Yes, keep
early
telling.
on, go to the World Show, and we'd have our warm-up times in the middle of the night, and I'd go utilize that, and then I'd go back and watch. And Tom, my husband, would get so mad because he'd want to go back to the hotel, and I'd want to go watch. And one of the early, some of the people who influenced my Western riding career, if you could call it such, Holly Hover, when I was in high school, taught me how to teach a horse to change leads. And she'd come up to the barn where I was and help me, and I'd bounce off the walls, and horse would buck, and it got pretty Western. And she persevered to teach me how to teach a horse to change leads. So she was my early influence. And then as I took her words to advice and tried to perfect it at the World Show, I would go and sit in the middle of the night and watch Christy Staniforth at the time, Christy McCann, and watch her horses and try to see what she was doing. And so for me, I've been tried to be a student of those kinds of things forever, and I'm still trying to be a student. You know, at this stage of my life, someone told me this the other day, and I didn't know whether to take offense or to be flattered. They're like, God, you're still pretty relevant for being in the twilight of your career.
It's so true, though.
Don't count me out yet.
Honestly, you know, with all due respect, it is so true and it's so honest, and it's the same thing. We've had the talk with Gil and Leonard and Karen and Robert Chown and those. It's so awesome to see y'all win so very long ago, and yet you are still relevant today and winning today.
Well,
It's
maybe not as much, and they mean more because some of the younger generation is so good, and the horses are better, so they're allowed to be better, and we have to unlearn some of the things some of us rode a lot of Iron Rebels back in the day, and they were just hard-headed and hard to get along with, and we have to unlearn some of that stuff. But I do enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoy it. The I'm a Fine Dandy horse, something that I think is a testament to him, and I've had a couple of horses that I think this would apply to. He was a world champion in 1995, and 10 years later, he was a reserve world champion. Granted, the trail horses have, longevity of career, but it's kind of cool that an individual at that point can have a 10-year career and still be relevant with the younger, more talented horses coming along.
And was that 10 years in between the two? Did he win the junior and the senior, or was it two senior win and then a reserve win?
It was senior and senior.
Senior in 95. And the reason I say that, because we see a lot of junior horses that go, but there's not a lot of junior horses that end up winning the senior, actually. But it's something that I always love to hear, because that's something that I take a lot of pride in, is keeping longevity of horses. It's really, it's something special. I think it shows how much you care about the horse and how much you're a champion for the horse. So that is awesome to hear. So there's some other horses that we absolutely have to bring up tonight, and you want to tell us about your little black horse and how you got started with the. I say little, it's not little, but
you want to talk about Colin?
Colin, yes.
Come on, you want to dance? Talk about a longevity of career. The first time I rode that horse, he was a 2-year-old for my friend Troy Compton at that point in time Scottsdale Classic. And I won the 2-year-old hunter under saddle on him at the Scottsdale Classic. And he was kind of a little weedy thing, but he was just a talented, kind, good mover. And we did quite well with him, obviously. Go to the World Show. The horse was for sale. He belonged to Sarah Linus, who owned Skip Special Barb. Her daughter rode with Troy. Obviously, Skip Special Barb was a famous pleasure horse that I actually got to show at the World Show in the Senior Pleasure, and I was 10th on him in the Senior Pleasure, kind of in the twilight of his career, so that was fabulous. So Come On, You Want to Dance is for sale. I have several clients looking for a horse. I tell them all about him. He wasn't terribly expensive by any means. And everybody's like, oh, he's too weedy, he's too this, he's too that. No one would buy him. So I just decide, I tell Tom, my husband, I'm like, we're just going to buy him. We're going to buy this horse. So I called Troy and I said, okay, I've got a vet check set up for Colin. That's his barn name. I said, bring him up to the horse show tomorrow. I'm going to vet him. He said, you know what? He said, your timing is outstanding. He said, there's some people driving in the driveway to look at him right now. And I said, well, they can look at him and then they can just turn around and drive right back out of the driveway. So long story short, we vetted him, bought him, brought him home, showed him not much as a 3-year-old. I didn't take him to the Congress as a futurity horse. Showed him as a 4-year-old. I sent him to Chuck Briggs and we started jumping him. And he was pretty talented in the over fences. And so he got him qualified as a 4-year-old and he did all right. Then as a 5-year-old, he was qualified in the hack, the winners, the hunt seat, and the junior Western riding. And kind of a funny story, he was the reserve super horse as a 5-year-old at the World Show. And I was 11th in the junior Western riding. If I'd have been 10th, he would have been the super horse. So it's kind of a fun story. But the career of Come On, You Want to Dance has really been, he's 18 this year. Wow. I don't even know how many Congress and World titles he's won. He's kind of earned over the years the nickname Mr. Perfect. He's won the Congress more times in the Hunters and the Hunter Hack. I think he won the Senior Hunter Hack at the Congress 5 years in a row. Wow. He's only been ridden in over fence classes by professionals in the open. Chuck Briggs, Linda Connors, Ryan Painter, and Jason Martin are the only ones, I believe, if memory serves me, now remember I'm getting old, that have ever ridden him over a fence in the open competition. Elise Roberts rode him for me at the World Show one year and was, I believe, 6th or 7th because I had a client's horse to show. And so we talk about milestones in our career and what we've won and, things that, you asked me earlier what belt buckle you win that means the most to you. I would have to say I think the second belt buckle that means the most to me would be a 2016 world champion in the senior hunt under saddle with Come On You Want to Dance. So mind you, at that point in time, in 2016, he was a world champion. He was 14 years old. And I'd been second, third. I mean, every year I took him to the World Show, I'd placed, but never had been able to be the big winner. Now, mind you, we now have brought into this whole hunter under saddle equation, we brought Miss Beth Case, who we all know is a tremendous horseman and rides fabulous animals. And so for me, it was outstanding. One, I was so excited for the horse to finally have that world title on his resume. He won the hunt seat, he won the hunter hack, and he won the working hunter at the World Show that year. That was one of my goals, was to win the hunt seat. And I finally got to do it. And it was, I have to admit, I'm not a crier, but when it's Beth Case and I standing out in the arena and you're going to be second and you realize you're not, this is huge release of emotion. And I felt bad then because I was like, she's a fabulous horseman and you hate to be, it was just awesome. It was the coolest thing. One for me, but it was so fun for a horse of his longevity of career to have that title finally in his repertoire. It was just fabulous. And he has had some amateur exhibitors. Peyton Bivens has won on him. She won the hunter hack, novice hunter hack, placed in the equitation, I think was reserve world champion, the amateur hunt seat twice. And now Carly Leak is showing him, and she was third last year in the equitation at the World Show in the amateur, which was after a pretty severe injury last spring. He fell in a barn aisle at a horse show and broke the point of his hip off. So the World Show was his first horse show back after an injury the 5th of May. So it's he's been a tremendous individual.
So I want to skip one, but because I'm going to come back to it. So can you tell me about your ranch riding with the stud? Because it seems funny because we started with Steve Meadows and it's another ranch. I mean, you're full circle too. So tell me about your horse. Tell me how people treated you a little bit, and we'll go with that.
Sure. So when ranch riding first started, I'm in Douglas, Wyoming, and it's the first year they have ranch riding. I've got a little horse that was doing the ranch riding, and I was showing, and at the end of the class, they asked us to come and drop our bridles. So I ride over to this person, I drop my bridle, and I, to be honest, don't even remember who the judge was. And they said, "What are you doing showing in the ranch riding?" I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, what are you doing showing in the ranch riding? You're a horse show person." And I said, "Well, actually, I'm really not. I grew up on a ranch, and so this is more my roots. Plus, it's a horse show that anybody can enter at the horse show." So I kind of got a little put off by that, but as it started growing, as Steve said, it's gotten to be extremely popular. And by this point in time, I have the stallion, the Immortal, by invitation only, who was 4th at the Congress as a 2-year-old in the Western Pleasure. And I had got him to do the Western riding on, and he was quite talented. But he was just so broke, I guess. So I started showing him in the ranch riding because he was so broke. He could extend, he could shorten up, he could turn around. Got him to stop, and I started showing him in it, and I started having success. And 2015, I believe it was, I won the Congress and the senior ranch riding on him. And some of the pictures that they put up earlier, he was
coming back up right now.
Yeah, he was. So the year I won the senior ranch riding at the Congress, I was also 3rd in the senior Western riding on him at the Congress. And
That to me is what stands out the most about this horse and you. And I look at the stopping picture up there on him. Did you put a little training plate on him or something for the ranch riding at all, or is that just him getting in the ground good?
No, I mean, I did put a little slider on him. So, would give him a little bit of assistance. But part of what I think a lot of people don't know about him, when Sherry Kern owned him, Lori Kurleski worked for Sherry, and she and her husband that now did a ton of things on him. They ran barrels on him. They roped off of him. I mean, he's got calf roping points, barrel racing points, pole bending points.
Didn't know that.
A boatload of ranch riding and Western riding points. I think he's got, I don't know, I looked this up at one point in time, but he's got over 1,000 Western riding points, like a bunch of trail points. He's not great in the trail. He didn't really like the height of the senior trail. And I think like 600 ranch riding points.
Wow. It's just, I don't think we can just breeze over the fact that he's that good of a Western rider and that good of a ranch rider, honestly. But I don't think we can talk about that without talking about you being, to be able to maintain a horse like that and to be successful like that. Again, as we're seeing all our comments, we 100% agree. Just the horsewoman that you are. I mean, it's awesome. It's cool to be able to have a horse like that. And I didn't ask about if we had the sliding plates on there for any other reason, just the fact that not very many people would be able to get a horse to stop like that and then go into the Western riding and go change leads as well. So that I love that, because that's I think that's important. Stop is always very important to me when I'm judging, and to be able to do that in a couple different events like that and be that competitive in those events, super special.
So I'm just going to slide in.
It's fun.
I'm just going to say it's so impressive that this one horse does so many different events. I mean, that's what we talk about all the time, not being specialized, but being versatile of a multiple world champion. But I'm saying doing so many different events like that, that's so cool. I kind of want to slide into the Flying Diamond right here, because it kind of slides right into this. So can you kind of tell me how the Flying Diamond Rodeo became?
Sure. So Flying Diamond Rodeo,
Amazing.
I mean, never in my wildest dreams would I think I'd be involved in a rodeo company, Grew up around rodeo. My dad, I referenced earlier, was a calf roper. Actually trained the world champion calf horse at the very first Youth World Show. Amateur rodeoed a lot. So I was around it a lot as a kid. And then obviously came the horse show route. And so kind of a long story, in 1996, I believe it was, years get away from me, I judged the Miss Rodeo America contest, and got asked to do that kind of from the horse show industry. Had a ball, reconnected with a lot of people that I had not seen in a long time. Met some folks there, but the way the rodeo company came about, J.R. Reichert, Wayne Holt formed a group called the Western Group, which basically was a bunch of us horse show people who got in and formed a group, and we bought into owning some bulls. And met a gentleman in Washington State who owned bulls and took them to PBRs. So all of us that were owners of, a freckle on this bull's tail would go to the PBR and cheer on our bulls. And it was a great social outing. We really enjoyed it. It was a fun thing to do. And then it kind of fell apart. But we got to know the guy that had the animals. So we're at the NFR a couple of years after I've judged Miss Rodeo America, well, quite a few, hanging out. And he says to Tom and I, he says, I know some people in Washington State have a rodeo company and they're going to sell it. Would you have any interest? And I'm like, I don't say much. And Tom's like, yes. I'm like, I look at him like he'd been hit on the head or something. I'm like, what? So long story short, this is December. We fly up to Washington State in February, look at all their stock, talk about all the rodeos that they own, so to speak. And then we go home, or actually as we're leaving, we kind of knew what they had been offered for their rodeo company. So we make them an offer, which is significantly less than what they'd gotten. And we're not 45 minutes down the road and they call and say, we'll take your offer. I'm like, oh, another one of those armpit sweating moments. I'm like, oh my God, now we own a rodeo company. And so we finalize the deal, go to Ellensburg, Washington, load up all this stuff, and move it to Moses Lake, and engage this gentleman to be our partner. And it's morphed. One company, then we were two companies, and now we're back down to kind of one company. But I think for me as a livestock person, I love it. Like, I love the animals. I laugh all the time, and I tease them because I'll stay up there and I'll say, I feed you great hay and I take great care of you, and you go out and that's all you can give me. Like, that's it. That's all you got.
Come on, man.
Really, I'm like, oh my God. And my rodeo friends all tease me because they say I get really involved, and I do love it. And I said, but it's so different. The animals there, I think when you have non-rodeo people or non-livestock people, one of the things that I try to explain to them is these animals truly do it because they want to. We all as horse trainers and exhibitors, we have some effect on the outcome of what our horse does in the show ring. Sometimes it's better than others, but we can affect what they do. When you put that animal in the chute and you open the chute gate, you are at their mercy, so to speak. So it truly is, I have to respect the animals because when they do their job, it's truly what they love to do. So we've been really fortunate. We've had animals at the NFR every year since we bought the company, which I believe 2008, which was of course, economic crash in the United States, was our first rodeo year, and we've had animals there every year since, and been very lucky to win several go-rounds. And so I wear, a lot of times at the horse shows, I'll wear a go-round buckle from the NFR. Just gets kind of a fun novelty deal, but it's pretty fun. So that's kind of how the rodeo company came about.
So not the last one, but this quick question. How many rides do your horses go out in normal season?
The rodeo horses?
Yeah. Like how many times are they used?
Stock, yeah.
The horses you don't put out as many times because they don't have as many trips, and you want to kind of keep their longevity. A good bucking horse could have a career of 10 to 15 years, but I would say anywhere between 8. You have to have 8 outs a year in order to qualify for the World Show. Or for the NFR. I'm sorry, I'm getting my two worlds mixed up there. And so typically our horses have between 8 and 20 outs, and then our bulls. Now that's a different story. We'll buck our bulls twice. If we have a 3-day weekend, the bulls will buck twice, and we, on a typical year, obviously not this year, but in a typical year, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for some of our bulls to have 30, 40, 50 outs.
Wow.
And the name of your livestock company is Flying Diamond Rodeo Company, correct?
Actually, it's not. That was an old one, and it's kind of a long story, but now it is Corey, Corey, Corey and Lange Rodeo.
Okay, because we had a question come up on the board, and in my notes it says Diamonds. Okay,
Trailman, that's him. So I hate to go to here for a second, but I need to talk about the flood real quick, about how that was pretty devastating and stuff like that. And we have some pictures of that. So sorry about that. But
no, that's one of the things I think that has a huge influence on your life. So the flood pictures, as you can see, I'm at a horse show in Denver, September maybe 11th, 12th, September 11th, I believe. I'm in Denver at a horse show, 17 head of horses. It's raining all up and down the Front Range. The 12th, we have lots of major highways in Colorado that get washed out along the Front Range. I-25, water's coming over. It's crazy. The 13th, Friday the 13th, my ex-husband's birthday. He's here at home riding, and we have some friends that come onto the place, and they're like, there's water coming from the west down the rivers, lots of stuff. Maybe we should get horses and animals out. And he's like, we've lived here 25 years. It's never done anything like that. And the water went from dry to waist deep in my driveway. It washed out 4 lanes of highway. It went from dry to waist deep in my driveway in 25 minutes.
Man.
Wow. And so they got some trucks and trailers.
That's a lot of water.
Yeah, and as you can see from the pictures, Like the pictures of my indoor arena, the water was right up underneath the windows in the indoor arena. That's like
That's the top right picture.
How about the trail poles like trying to float away?
Trail poles floated away. The bottom picture in the middle, that was the picture of our fence line. After the flood and things had dried up, and the things that we found, and then the one to the right on the bottom is another picture of stuff that we found in our fence line. We found propane tanks. We found mixed martial arts dummies. We found kids swimming pools. The amount of stuff that, and then there's a little picture down with like telephone poles in it. And that picture made national news. That's a picture of Tom. I don't know how well it can be seen, but that's the road that runs in front of our property. And my husband, Tom, at the time was on a draft horse with some other light horses. And he's trying to get them to come up the road to dry ground at the top of the hill. And that tank in the back is not like a little propane tank. That's like a huge gas storage tank that's just floating down the road.
Wow.
So
how about getting help after that? People helping afterwards?
Yep, people, the community, our quarter horse community here in Colorado was fabulous. Friends, other trainers, people from magazines. Trent Johnson, who owns Greeley Hat Works town, all my hats come from Trent, really organized people, and they flood is on a Friday. Saturday, Trent had people out here, and we were shoveling out tack, gutting my house. I would say within a week, we had the bottom floor of my house gutted so that it could dry. And other trainers just storage rooms with winter blankets that were just sopping wet, and tack. And, when I never had experienced anything like that, of course. I'm used to snowstorms from being from the mountains. But when the water leaves, it's not clean. It leaves, and there is just dirt and sludge everywhere. And it was amazing. Truly, truly amazing. Now, when I watch flooding on TV, I can't even imagine. And so we had my property here, and then I owned an adjoining property where Jeff Burley, a young man that worked for me at the time, was living, and he had animals over there. And just rounding up our animals, kind of a cool story in that regard. I had 3 mares and colts in the back of my property, and some guys from a big implement dealer right up the road brought a huge tractor over, and we tied a boat to the cab. I didn't, and they came in and they got the brood mares haltered, and they were trying to bring the mares down the road and get mares and colts up to the top. Well, the mares pulled back, got loose, whatever. There's an Air National Guard station about a half a mile north of me, and of course, the helicopter traffic from there was tremendous because it started that day and continued for 3 or 4 days. But I've learned after the fact that outside of Hurricane Katrina and Rita, the airlift in Colorado, the Colorado flood, was the largest in U.S. history. So anyway, an Air National Guard helicopter takes off and is circling around our place, and he sees what's happening, and he gets behind these mares and colts and drives them out of my lane and up to the top of the hill with this helicopter. So.
Okay. So yeah, I just remember that time, and I remember hearing about it, and it was just devastating. And then when Tom was telling me the story about how he was getting the horses out and everything, it was like incredible that it all got put back together again. So
we were really lucky. We didn't lose near as much as a lot of people, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy ever.
So I'd like to go to something positive again. That's positive in a weird way, but the question I asked you this afternoon is like, what you're most proud of and what you think your legacy is, and it's not like you're done. Every time I ask people that, I don't like to make it feel like you're done, but the questions I'm trying to ask you here is like, what you're proud of what you've accomplished so far in your life and your career.
I think I'm proud. Obviously you're internally proud of your individual awards. We all have goals, and you're proud of that. But I think more so, I've had, a lot of students over the years. Peyton Bivens said once to me because she was a client who reserve world champion in the horsemanship at the world show and then got to win at the world show in the trail as an amateur. And she said to me at the time, she said, you made little girls' dreams come true. And her sister had a good career, was reserve world champion in the hunt seat. And that was very special because they're a very special family. And then I had another client, and the reason this comes to mind, Emily Mall won the world with Only Temptation. And Peyton Bivens sends me a text, and she's like, congratulations, you've made another little girl's dreams come true.
Awesome.
And I think that's cool, whether you're little girls or little boys or big boys. If I can try to help you reach your goal, whether that's learning to lope, and that is where you want to be, or you want to win a world title, I'm proud of trying to help you get there. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm proud of not only my clients, but Brad's clients and Tim's clients and everybody else's clients, because we're all trying to reach the same thing, and we're all trying to just help people. And so that legacy, and then I would say that the care of the horse. I love the animals, and I hope I'm known for being a horseman and putting my horses first.
Great.
Yeah. So I think Tim's going to this next question, which is my favorite question, and I can't wait to hear your answer, Tim.
So, let's ask a question first. Okay, what inspiration can you give young upcoming horse trainers to improve their business and help promote our industry?
That's the question.
That's the question.
That's
because
$1 million question.
I respect you so much, and I know I'm not the only one, and so I love to hear so many of the people that have we've had onto this show. I just I don't know. I'm not getting all sappy or anything, but I just always have a desire for that next generation, right? Because we always have to pass something down as we go, or I think we're not doing our job. And so people like you, I just love to hear this part of our show, because I think this is a big piece that people are going to go back and watch and go, I'm looking for some information. Leslie Lange was on the show. I'm going to go listen to what she had to say about it. So please.
I don't know about that. I don't know. For up and coming generations, I think for me, it's you've got to be brutally honest. You've got to have your client in part of the equation. And that's not to say those conversations are easy. Sometimes the goals of your client don't match their ability or the match they've got with their horse. And so, or their horse's time frame doesn't match the client's time frame. And those are, you have to be brutally honest. And if you are, you can put your head on the pillow at night and have a clear conscience and know you did your best and everybody's on the same page. And if you do that, then I don't think that there will be hard times. We all know people don't reach their goals. Sometimes the answers you give them, clients, are not what they want to hear. But if you're brutally honest, like I said, for me, I can put my head on the pillow at night and sleep. I've had some situations in this past year. Sometimes you hear clients say that trainers have too many horses and they really don't worry about my horse isn't top of the food chain. I've had some situations in the past year where, granted, we get busy and it doesn't appear that you are, but I've had a few horses that I have torn my hair out over the past year. Am I a bad horse trainer? Why did I lose this ability with this horse? Why is this horse doing this? And then in the end, you actually do find out that there's an organic cause for it, maybe. So I just want clients to know the majority of us, if not all of us, think about all of our horses all the time and just want the best for the horses and the clients. An instance comes to my mind. This probably happened to you too. You've got 3 different arenas going and everything, and you come back and you're like, oh wait, I think I can sit for like 2 minutes and just gather my thoughts. And then you get up and you walk back, and then all of a sudden you look up and you see a client walking out of the arena that just showed, and you're like,
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot that you were in the pen. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I have done that before. And a lot of times it's a new client that hasn't been in the mix for very long. Right. And I feel absolutely horrible about it. And I walk up to him and honestly just say, I said, I am so sorry. I missed your go. And I tell him exactly what I just said. You haven't been in my repetition for years or a year or months yet. And so I apologize that I wasn't there to be able to see it. And most of the time, immediately like, it's okay. And then they just tell me about their pattern because that's what they're used to doing anyway. I don't ever ask them if they win or lost. I always ask them how you thought you did, and so that we can talk about it. And of course, somebody was usually always there, as I said last night about all my clients truly support each other. So usually I can get to see the video later. But it really is the honest communication so key in every facet of our business.
So clients,
a couple things I get. Jump in. Go ahead.
Just a quick aside. So, we all have our professional side and then we all have our kind of real side. And I have a saying that I say to myself all the time, and I say it out loud. And so my clients got me a wine goblet, and it says, "Oh, for," and then it has a picture of a fox head, sake. So you can, by extension, know what I always say. So when that very scenario, when someone walks out and I'm not there, I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." And I say that to myself and then address the situation.
So I know we're getting late here, but I have two things I have to say. Okay. One, did you say the thing that your dad had wrote on the news article?
I haven't yet. So,
okay.
My dad was a great influence in my horse career, helped me a bunch. And one of the lessons that he told me is he said, about the time you think you figured it out, look around, see how you're doing, and then you'll know you probably haven't figured out shit. So keep working on it. and I hate, hate to say that word, but that would have been a direct quote from my dad.
So
Dad's keeping it real right there.
I
have to do one more. So I met you back in '95, Bear, right? And we've gone to Italy and we've clinicked. I've been at your house. I've ate at your thing. I've at your counter, slept in your guys' rooms. So back to the water box. Okay. So 95, I helped you with the water box, right? So the one place
I know where this
world,
is going.
I go to the back of her place for her water box one day, and I lift that thing in air upright, and then I'll be damned, I reach down to get something, and that mother blows down and just hits me in the head.
What?
Like a hammer.
Yes, like falls over.
Like that thing is upright like this, and it falls and hits me in the head, and I'm going, holy hand grenade. Like, I was like, I don't even know where I was at, and I'm like, dizzy, kind of like concussion, and she's going, "What's wrong with you?" So I think I got hit the water box.
I have a concussion.
So I come around the corner and he's like on the ground on all fours, like on his knees and his hands, and the box is laying right next to him. And I'm like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And he can't hardly speak, and he's not Tweety Bird with the little things going over his head. And I'm
Trail
like, "Oh
man
my God.
down.
Trail man down, like Waterbox knocked him out."
That was so bad. That hurt so hard. That's like the one time.
It's just like history, though. I mean, so you and if I ever see a water box in the arena again, you and Leslie are not allowed to be around it.
Now
together.
we have those little small ones, not the big ones.
Now we don't have the giant ones.
So I don't even know if we skipped on how you got your name. Did we do that tonight?
We did not. I don't believe. I saw that someone asked me that. Yeah. So it's really not exciting. But when I was born, my parents said I looked like Winnie the Pooh, so they called me Pooh Bear, and then it got shortened to Bear. And so, which thank God, because all through high school I was known as Bear, which is way better than being called Pooh. So. It stuck through high school. That's all I ever went by. And then when I went to college, of course, professors start calling you by your real name. I was Leslie when I was in trouble from my parents, but really never really responded to Leslie until I went to college. And then when I kind of started, being a professional horse person or something, I started responding. But I still go by Bear, and I kind of. The people who, all my close friends call me Bear. I do have a couple that just don't like it, so they still call me Leslie, but everybody calls me Bear, and feel free to, because that's what I go by.
Okay. Bring it, Bradford.
You know, it goes without saying what a great night this was. And I have to point something out because we've done enough of these shows now to see the comments. We've had a lot of comments tonight, but what kind of comments?
Oh, we love Bear.
And then, honestly, like 100, what do we have, 127 comments or something? That's a lot of comments.
Bear that.
But
love Bear.
But yeah, that's what most of the comments were. But then they were very short because everybody wanted to keep their mouth shut because they wanted to listen. That's what I'm learning about a lot of the crowd and the respect that they have. Obviously, all of our guests have been great, but when we have what I call, and Leslie, I know what you're going to do, but legends, living legends in our midst. No, your versatility is legendary, Leslie. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your Times Ranch jeans there or anything, but it truly is awesome to see you be able to be in so many different arenas and be so successful in so many different arenas. But then I still see you taking the time with your clients, no matter whether they're level 1, rookie, level 3, they just won the world. It doesn't matter. You are the same with every person I ever see you be in contact with. So thank you for that.
Thanks for sharing Friday night.
That's what I think the legacy that we should all be leaving. And yes, thank you for coming on this Friday night. Thank you, everybody that came tonight. I know Friday nights are a little different right now these days, but it's still Friday night.
It is Friday night, and thank you for having me. It was fabulous. You're more than kind. Legend, I don't know that the legend in my own mind perhaps, but I will continue to try to be a part of the great industry, and thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for always watching. You're one of the ones that we always see chime in there, so we thank you for supporting us. That's awesome. Mikey Hawkins, you've been in tonight. I see that. Thanks for watching.
Do we need to talk about next week real quick?
Absolutely. Leslie, we'll let you go have dinner, although you're an hour ahead of us. So we'll let you go have dinner.
Thanks, Bear.
Thank you.
All right, bye,
and we'll be in
everybody.
touch right after the show.
Okay. Thanks, Bear. Talk to you later.
Yeah, we have a trivia question real quick. We have a trivia question. And stay on for this, Bear, because I want to make sure we get the answer right. I'm pretty sure I know it. Trivia question for a $100 gift certificate. So those of you that are still on right now, and those of you that said, oh, I hear the closing music, I'm out of here, $100 gift certificate to Kimes Ranch, because I know Leslie is sponsored by them. I'm sponsored by them. So we got 50 and 50. That's a 100% deal. So we're giving $100 away.
Nice shirt.
Gift certificate. There's a shirt right there. What year did Leslie Lange win the Professional Horsewoman of the Year, Horseman of the Year? Because I don't think they had Horsewoman then, right? It was Horsemen. What year? Who's the first one? Who's the first one to answer? What year did Leslie Lange win the Professional Horsewoman of the Year? We're going to stay live here until we get it.
Wow.
Come on, let's see some answers.
It's been so fun hanging out with you all these years and stuff like that.
It has. It's been truly special. Thank you so much.
So many great answers. No, it was not 2003.
Yeah, it was.
It was 2003?
Yes.
Oh, see, that's why I needed you to stay here. So we have a winner. Who went there?
Lori
Litico.
She's a Colorado girl. Woo, woo. College. We went to
Right, so we got a Kimes Ranch gift certificate coming to Colorado. Awesome.
Congratulations. Thanks
Awesome,
again,
awesome.
Bear.
Yes,
Have
thank
a great
you.
Friday. Have a great weekend.
Good night,
Talk to you
Bear.
later.
Talk to you soon.
All right, everybody. We are going to talk about our week next week. Monday is what, Timmy?
Melissa Jones, our big buddy Curtis Reynolds.
Yes, Curtis Reynolds, Melissa Jones, and
Jenny Fred.
Yes, we got Jenny Fred coming
Wednesday.
And Wednesday we have kind of a, I want to say it's a trail day, but really we just got some great horsemen coming in.
For sure.
We got Mr. Jeff Malott, Mr. Tommy, Nancy Cahill, and Tommy Sheets.
Tommy Sheets, Team Red.
Yes, Team Red. That's right.
Team Red on Wednesday night.
You're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be 2 great nights. Friday is coming, and of course Thursday's Topic Thursday. Tim, thank you for being here tonight.
Great weekend. Thanks for letting me stay at your house for this week.
Yes, absolutely. And everybody, have a great weekend.
Thanks,
and
Tony
we
Cam.
will see you on Monday.
This has been a Kona Cam production. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.